change up, change up. I was waiting for the valves to come out of the bonnet. Hello guys, welcome back to Car Obsession and welcome to the brand new Suzuki Vitara. Okay, it isn't actually brand new, but there are some changes to be found under the bonnet. What we have here is a 1.5 litre naturally aspirated petrol engine, which is aided by a 24 kilowatt electric motor. Yes, this car is a full hybrid. Under the boot floor, you have a 140 volt battery, and this car will of course give you better economy and lower running costs. Speaking of which, on a combined run, this is the front wheel drive version by the way, on a combined run, Suzuki states that you can expect up to 53 miles to the gallon and CO2 emissions come in at 121 grams per kilometre, meaning for the first year of VED, you will be required to pay £170. The electric motor and the engine combined produce 115 horsepower along with 138 newton meters of torque. I anticipate you're not too fussed about performance because, let's face it, this car isn't built for such a thing, but in case you are, this will hit 62 miles per hour in 12.7 seconds, and the top speed, in case you're really interested, is 111 miles per hour. The question is though, is this car any good and what is it like to drive? Well, let's find out. In case you're wondering, this hybrid system hasn't been co-developed with Toyota. You may have thought, aha, they've just copied Toyota's homework. No, that isn't the case. This hybrid system has been developed in-house by Suzuki themselves. As I mentioned, I've got a 1.5 litre naturally aspirated petrol engine, and you may think, no turbo. Does that mean you have to drive the car quite hard to get any kind of power out of it? Well, normally that would be the case. That is the characteristic of an NA engine. But no, of course, this car has got the electric motor, therefore that kind of fills in the gaps that the engine isn't able to offer. So far, I've literally driven this car for less than 5 minutes. So far, it is a pleasant experience. There is a bit of road noise coming into the cabin, but the same could be said for any Vitara. Like other Vitaras that I've driven, it's comfortable, these seats are lovely. The Vitara lineup is simple as there are just 2 trim levels to choose from, SZT and SZ5, with respective starting prices of £23,499 and £25,499. The SZ5 can also be had with all-wheel drive for an additional £1,800, which is something that the majority of its rivals cannot offer. The SZT may be the base model, but still boasts a lot of features including 17-inch alloys, LED lights, keyless entry, smartphone connectivity, navigation, reversing camera, blind spot monitoring, rear cross traffic alert, lane keep assist, autonomous emergency braking, 7 airbags, adaptive cruise control, climate control and traffic sign recognition. And breathe. The SZ5 adds to this with polished alloy wheels, panoramic roof, front and rear parking sensors and suede seats, as well as offering all-wheel drive as an option. The Vitara then clearly has a lot of kit as standard, so if you're looking for a family SUV with lots of features and of course value for money, then this is a very good car to look at. This engine code is K15C, in case you're nerdy and you like to know about your engine codes, and as I mentioned, it is naturally aspirated. Now of course, that means there's no turbocharger to give you that extra boost, but you do of course have that electric motor which produces 24 kilowatts along with 60 newton meters of torque. I've got the AGS, which is an automatic but kind of not an automatic, it's an automatic manual. So essentially you do have a manual transmission, but you've got hydraulic actuators or thingamabobs, I know, very technical, and that does the changes for you. So I've got no clutch pedal, it's just a brake and accelerator like you would have in your standard automatic. With the new hybrid system, I do have an eco mode button to my right hand side, just below, well, just right next to my right knee. Can you hear the engine? It does get a little bit drony, but it's not deafening. I would argue the droning is kind of drowned out by the wind noise anyway. But anyway, yes, you have an eco mode button down here, and as you can imagine, that makes the car even more economical. If you were to have the all-wheel drive version, when you hit the eco mode button, then it will limit the functionality, because with the all-wheel drive version, it has Suzuki's AllGrip Select. So you have a little knob down here near the handbrake, and you can select whether you want to have it in auto mode, in snow mode, and so forth. But if you put it into eco mode in that car, then you can only drive the AllGrip Select in auto mode. In case you're wondering and thinking, I wonder when Suzuki will bring out a fully electric car. I was speaking to the chaps at Suzuki last night over dinner, and they reckon it will be 2025. Whether or not that would be with the help of with the help of Toyota, sorry, that is yet to be known. Now that the full hybrid is now here, the automatic version of the mild hybrid Vitaras will be phased out and replaced by this car. But in case you still want to have the mild hybrid, you can do so, but it would be with the manual gearbox only. The performance is pretty good. Under load, you can detect a gear change. It isn't the smoothest. You may have seen that the car kind of not pitched a little bit, but there was definitely a pause. And it's interesting because in the kind of presentation last night with the Suzuki, they did say that the electric motor, one of the benefits of having it is that it is able to fit in that gap where you have a drop off of torque between gear changes. So far it's worked quite well, but I'd say when you're putting the engine under more load, it doesn't work quite as effectively. Yeah. So it's definitely a kind of sensation. You can leave the gearbox to its own devices, and it works well enough for what you need. Or you do have flappy paddles on the gearbox. On the steering wheel, I should say. Get my right terminology. So let's give the paddles a go. The changes are actually pretty quicker than I was expecting, if I'm going to be honest. I thought it was going to be a bit sluggish, as if the gearbox was kind of made of treacle a little bit. In regard to standard kit, well, I've got plenty of it. I've got a touchscreen with Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, navigation, DAB radio, Bluetooth. I've got a reversing camera, I've got climate control, I've got a good amount of safety systems such as autonomous emergency braking, adaptive cruise control, which I'm using right now, very nice indeed, and I've got blind spot monitoring, to name but a few. So if you're looking for value for money, I know I've used that phrase a few times now, but you can't really do much better than the Vitara. Now, to be fair, before it sounds like I'm being paid by Suzuki for this video, which I'm not, by the way, there are some downsides to the Vitara. Interior quality isn't on par with its rivals. You do have some scratchy materials, but you have to expect that for this price. And overall, the cabin isn't a bad place to be. But yes, if you're looking for something a bit more luxurious, something a bit more premium, then there's a good chance you will be maybe a little bit disappointed by this car. You do have some nice touches in here. Some common gearbox, change up. You don't need to be in fourth. There we go. I must admit that was very delayed. I've got the adaptive cruise control on, like I mentioned a few moments ago, but it was hanging on to fourth for dear life. Like, change up, change up. I was waiting for the valves to come out of the bonnet. I'll be honest, when I saw the performance stats, I did think this was going to feel a bit lethargic to drive, but to be honest, I have been pleasantly surprised. It's relatively nippy. And do I think that this would be a bit of a burden on the motorway when you want to overtake someone? Honestly, I don't think so. It's also quite pleasurable to drive down a sweeping road like this. The handling's pretty good. There is a bit of lean in the corners, but you have to expect that. It's a higher riding SUV. The gearbox can't quite decide what it wants to do. I'll tell you what, I'm going to take control. The gearbox isn't bad, but it certainly isn't perfect. It's interesting, a lot of automatic cars I drive, I tend to just leave it in auto and let the gearbox do its own thing. But I would argue you're probably better off in this car doing most of the changes yourself. That's not particularly an insult to the gearbox, it's just a more pleasurable drive, and for me, I like the extra involvement anyway, so that's not a bad thing. The Suzuki Vitara Hybrid is shaping up nicely so far, but it does come with a sacrifice. As much as there are a few benefits for having the hybrid system to have that extra electrification in this car, there are some drawbacks. The boot has taken a hit when it comes to luggage capacity. I think this car originally was offering around 375 litres, give or take. I may need to correct myself with a subtitle, but now it's down to 289, so that's a loss of around 100 litres. That's quite a lot. Having said that, I've still been able to fit all my filming stuff in the boot today with no issues. I haven't need to play Tetris to get the stuff in there. So I think for a family day out, it should still be enough, but I don't know, I suppose if you wanted to put push chairs in there and so forth, yes, you may struggle. Yes, the boot is smaller, but if that's something you can live with, then you'll have a well kitted out family SUV that will be kinder to your wallet and also kinder to the environment. It's also fun to drive and reliable, so if you're looking for a family SUV that won't cost the earth to buy or to run, then I would urge you to have a look at the Suzuki Vitara Hybrid. A massive thank you to Suzuki UK for inviting me to the launch of this car, and of course a massive thank you for you guys watching this video. If you have enjoyed it or found it useful, be sure to like, comment and subscribe. If you are subscribed, don't forget to click the bell icon so you get notified every time I make a video. But until the next time guys, be sure to keep up the car obsession.